I'm Lisa Gray. Thank you for joining me for Travel Talk. I recently completed 3 individual segments for this station's headline Simsbury program that we've pieced together here into one 30-minute program that I'd like to share with you today. In the first segment, I'll introduce you to the benefits of using the services of a professional when booking your travel versus going it alone. Then I'll help you answer that nagging question, should I buy travel insurance? My answer is not what you might think. Finally, I'll give you some tips on the 10 things to do in the first 24 hours of your trip. So stay tuned, and thanks for watching. In this, our first segment, I'd like to talk with you a little bit about the advantages of using a travel consultant over doing it yourself when planning a trip. We all know that in this age of technology, you have many options for planning your next vacation. And there's no denying that the internet has certainly made it easier to research destinations, resorts, tours, and other travel components. But when it comes to actually booking your trip, your best course of action is almost always to use a qualified travel consultant. With that in mind, here are the top 10 reasons to use a travel consultant. Number 1, you've Googled Mexico vacation and come up with 872 million results. Now what? Travel consultants are experts in deciphering and understanding the sea of travel information out there. It's what we're trained to do, and we do it every day. We take the time to get to know you, your family, your lifestyle, and your likes and dislikes, and we're skilled at matching your personality and desires with the perfect destination to create lifelong memories. Number 2, you use that well-known travel website to book your hotel and then spent your beach vacation overlooking a parking lot. Sometimes those online deals really are too good to be true. When it comes to your valuable vacation time and budget, you don't want to leave anything to chance. Utilizing years of personal experience and trusted relationships with companies from around the globe, a travel consultant will make sure you get where you want to go, when you want to go, and for the lowest price, all while ensuring that that dream trip you've talked about becomes a reality. Number 3, during that last snowstorm, you spent hours on hold with the airline when your flight was canceled. Anytime you have a problem with a particular part of your travel experience, a travel consultant will be there to act on your behalf until a resolution is reached. We'll go the extra mile for you, doing everything we can to meet your travel needs. In a case of inconvenience, and especially disaster, you want the guidance and security of a trusted advisor to take care of all the often complicated details for you. Number 4, while lounging by the pool at that luxury resort you booked online, you discover the lovely couple next to you got their package for $500 less. Through their trusted relationships with suppliers, travel consultants have access to deals, discounts, and specials not available to the general public. We also know tour operators, air consolidators, and other vendors who don't even work directly with consumers and can only be booked through travel consultants. This gives you a greater variety of options for traveling within your budget. Number 5, do you really have 12 hours to spare searching 21 different websites? The average traveler can spend countless hours online booking their own travel. Instead of checking a long list of web pages which only provide rates and fares for the companies that have contracted with them, why not go straight to the source? Avoid the headaches and let a travel consultant do all the research and time-consuming work of planning any itinerary. We can handle every aspect of your trip, from airline tickets to lodging, ground transportation, activities, tours, and even restaurant recommendations. Number 6, oops, those FAA regulations changed again. Travel consultants are constantly in touch with the travel community, giving you the most up-to-date info on air travel, hotels, car rental agencies, travel visas, and other travel services to consider as you plan your trip. It's our job to keep up with any rules, regulations, or trends that might affect your travel, and we'll provide you with tips and ideas that will make your journey much more enjoyable. Number 7, we know the true meaning of customer service. Travel consultants offer that personal touch to your travel experience, offering help and advice that a website cannot provide. Instead of an impersonal voice thousands of miles away, we are your neighbors. Because we've taken the time to get to know you, we know what you want and what you value in your travel experience. And because of our personal relationships with vendors, we can often get our customers extras like upgraded hotel rooms and perks like a bottle of wine, spa treatment, or resort credit. I personally always provide my clients with a valuable gift as a way of saying thank you for their business, and I stay in touch regularly from the time they first contact me until after they've returned from their trip. Number 8, no one explained to you that July is wintertime in Rio, so you showed up there with nothing but Hawaiian shirts and swim trunks. Many travel consultants are considered experts in the area you are traveling to and have probably already been to your chosen destination. Especially if you are a first-time visitor or first-time cruiser, you will want the advice of a professional who truly knows the ropes and can guide you every step of the way, from what kind of cell phone will work to what foods or areas to avoid in your destination. Number 9, you can't get unbiased information from a website. The big travel booking websites only show you those vendors who have contracted with them to appear on their sites. And even if you go directly to a vendor site, they're going to show you only the best rooms, the best views, the best amenities available in an effort to convince you to book with them. Travel consultants work for you, our clients, not for a travel supplier. We have your best interests at heart, and we want you to have exactly what you want in a vacation because it makes sense that a happy customer will be a repeat customer. And finally, number 10, in most cases, it doesn't cost you anything extra to use the services of a professional. With the exception of airlines, travel consultants are paid a commission by the travel vendors. Those are the hotels, tour companies, car rental agencies, and other companies with whom we book your vacations. In fact, we can end up saving you money through our strong working relationships with travel suppliers and our access to early booking discounts and special fares and deals not available to the general public. You may have been wondering why, throughout this presentation, I've been using the term travel consultant instead of the more familiar travel agent. That's because the term agent implies that it's a person whose sole job is to sell a product. For instance, you probably have an insurance agent who has made his or her career out of selling one or two particular brands of insurance. In fact, one of the definitions of agent is one authorized to transact business for another. So your insurance agent sells you an insurance policy on behalf of the insurance company. But a consultant is defined as one who offers professional advice or services, and that's what a travel consultant does. Through our years of experience and training, we offer you advice on destinations and vendors, and we are committed to helping you get the best bang for your travel buck, based on the information we've learned when we've taken the time to get to know you. So, when planning your next trip, big or small, please consult a travel consultant. Until next time, I'd like to leave you with one of my favorite sayings. It's credited to St. Augustine. The world is a book, and those who do not travel read only one page. Thank you for joining me. Today we're going to talk about a common dilemma faced by every traveler, whether booking yourself or through a travel consultant. Should you purchase travel insurance? That little pest of a question pops up every time you book a flight, confirm a hotel room, or reserve a rental car. It's almost become the "do you want fries with that" of travel booking. But the answer is not that simple, and every situation is different depending on the individuals traveling. As with any type of insurance, purchasing travel insurance is a precautionary measure against a possible threat. When traveling, there are any number of mishaps or flat-out disasters that could occur. Before even leaving home, you, a traveling companion, or close relative could become seriously ill, preventing you from taking your trip, but causing you to forfeit the non-refundable portion of your reservation. En route, a flight delay or cancellation could cause you to have the unexpected expenditure of a last-minute hotel room for the night, or your luggage could be delayed or lost, resulting in you having to buy clothes to get you through the first couple of days of your trip before your bags could be found and delivered to you. While enjoying your destination, a serious illness or accident may cause you to have to seek medical care, or you may be the unfortunate victim of a theft, resulting in further expense. Or you may get word from back home that a close relative has fallen seriously ill or passed away, and you must put out the unintended expense of returning home early. Over the years, I have had many unfortunate traveling mishaps, beginning with my then 7-year-old son being seriously injured in a hotel pool and requiring emergency medical care while in Mexico. A few years later, that same son became so ill with a strep infection that we spent every day of our cruise vacation in the ship's onboard hospital where he was receiving IV antibiotics. Then, when embarking on our honeymoon, my husband and I missed our flight out of JFK, couldn't get one until the next day, and consequently missed our cruise ship departing from Barcelona. We had to rent a car and drive through the night to meet the ship at its first stop in Cannes, France. 2 years ago, when 4 days before my husband and I were to depart on a trip to Puerto Vallarta, my mother underwent life-altering surgery, and I was advised by her doctors not to leave her. So, needless to say, with our string of bad luck, when I'm asked, would you like to purchase travel insurance? The answer is always yes. But what about for your own situation? Accidents can happen to anyone, but travelers tend to buy insurance if they feel they are more at risk or more likely than the average policyholder to have the need to make a claim. Let's consider a couple of my own clients as examples. Mr. and Mrs. A are world travelers. Mr. A, in his 80s, has a number of health problems and is primarily confined to a wheelchair, but they don't let that keep them from their love of traveling. In fact, they plan to embark on an Alaska cruise this spring and are extending their trip several days before and after the cruise. They've booked one of the best cabins on board and have already committed a great deal of money to their trip, including their cruise fare and airfare that would be non-refundable if anything happened that would require them to cancel it or cut it short. Ms. B, on the other hand, is a single woman in her early 30s with no children who is an avid golfer. She tends to prefer domestic travel, close to home, someplace she can just throw her clubs in the back of her car and drive to for a long weekend. It's pretty clear in this scenario who should buy insurance. Your own situation may be similar to one of these or similar to mine. My husband and I are middle-aged and blessed with good health, but we have 6 children and 4 grandchildren between us, as well as 5 parents in their 70s and 80s. We're not too worried about ourselves, but if anything happened to one of our loved ones, our travel plans could change in an instant. Generally, travel insurance is sold in packages, combining various categories of coverage in different price ranges. A good travel consultant can help you determine which package is best for your particular situation, but coverage is generally inexpensive given what you stand to lose if your trip is canceled. Here is a general overview of what a travel insurance policy may cover. Medical. If your regular health insurance doesn't cover you while abroad, and many don't, you need some when you travel. Definitely check on the specifics of your own policy and make sure there are in-network hospitals in the area you are traveling to. Also, inquire about what would happen if you couldn't communicate with emergency personnel and wound up at an out-of-network facility. Many travel insurance policies will reimburse medical expenses no matter what hospital you end up at. And even if you have full coverage through your normal policy, there is almost always additional costs like deductibles that will be covered by travel insurance. If you, a traveling companion or family member, have a pre-existing medical condition, make sure you purchase a policy that covers this too. Emergency evacuation. While the need for a medical evacuation is certainly rare, the circumstances under which it's needed are unexpected and often severe. A roadway accident with serious injuries, a heart attack, a brush with nature such as an extreme weather situation or wildlife incident, or simply the worsening of an illness that suddenly transforms into a major medical emergency can have catastrophic consequences. And trying to arrange your own medical evacuation in a foreign country can be difficult, complex, and expensive. International medical evacuation typically costs $50,000 or more. Emergency evacuation coverage will reimburse the cost to transport you to the nearest treatment suitable by U.S. medical standards, transport you back to the U.S. with medical escort if needed, or transport your remains back to the U.S. in case of unexpected tragedy. So it comes down to how likely this scenario is. Are you headed to a particularly isolated region or one with below par medical care? Climbing mountains or fording rivers? Then having evacuation coverage as part of a package or separately is a good idea. Travel protection. General travel protection insurance will offer full or partial reimbursement for prepaid reservations if your trip is canceled, interrupted, or delayed. Some people rarely spend much on a trip before they leave beyond the plane ticket and maybe the first night in a hotel. But for others with expensive seats and long prepaid reservations, it makes sense to have this kind of protection. Some banks offer this coverage when you purchase your travel using their credit card, but it can sometimes be difficult to process a claim. Also, most airlines will issue a credit for the full amount paid for each ticket that is good for 1 year from the date of original purchase, not your departure date. But there is also usually a change fee of at least $150 when you go to use your credit. Baggage protection. Baggage protection insurance will reimburse you for items lost or damaged in transit and cover expenses incurred if your luggage is delayed. Again, your credit card company may offer similar coverage, but insurance can provide coverage beyond your flight for damage, loss, or theft of your belongings. Bankruptcy or default. It's rare and unfortunate, but it does happen. A company with whom you've booked your travel suddenly goes out of business and you can't get your money back. Travel insurance would reimburse you for expenses lost in this type of situation. There are also several optional coverages to consider, such as accidental death and dismemberment. If you have life insurance, it should cover this instance, but if not, it's something to think about, especially if you're traveling to a particularly risky area of the world or plan to engage in any potentially hazardous activities. Renter's collision insurance. Your regular car insurance policy probably covers you for claims within the U.S., but may not provide coverage in foreign countries. Be sure to check if you plan to rent a car in a foreign destination. Cancel for work reason insurance. If your work situation is unpredictable or uncertain, this coverage may be important to you. Work-related reasons covered for you or your traveling companion would be situations like a requirement to work during a planned vacation, a transfer to another city, a merger or acquisition, or interruption of company operations due to disaster or bankruptcy. Job loss is already a covered reason for trip cancellation interruption without the purchase of the cancel for work reasons option. Sports coverage. This covers participation in risky sports activities such as bodily contact sports, skydiving, hang gliding, parachuting, and racing that would otherwise be excluded from emergency accident and sickness medical expense. It's normally not required for emergency evacuation and repatriation of remains, which covers all sporting activities. A sports upgrade would also cover prepaid greens fees or ski passes, or equipment rentals when your own gear is delayed by the airline. Ultimately, your age, medical background, and lifestyle, and those of your traveling companions and close family members, will indicate whether travel insurance is a wise choice for you. Of course, there's one more variable. If you're a worrier and having coverage for every imaginable circumstance that may befall you will allow you to relax and enjoy your trip, then travel insurance is always a wise choice. I thought I'd share some important tips for making the most of your vacation right from the start, because having a plan for getting things done and getting your trip truly underway upon arrival can set the tone for your entire vacation. So first, plan your exit on the way in. The best time to figure out the fastest and easiest way out of an area is on your way in. After you get off the plane, scope out the airport layout and amenities. Note how far it is from the car rental counter to the terminal, as well as a good place to buy gas to fill up your tank before returning your vehicle. Look for street names and exit numbers to thread your way back to the rental counter or terminals. And when you check in at your hotel, ask about check-out times and see if you can leave without stopping at the front desk. Next, get a bite to eat. One of the first things most travelers will need to do upon arriving in a new place is eat. And many end up grabbing whatever is available, whether it's room service or fast food. But with Yelp, Urban Spoon, TripAdvisor, and many other listing sites and apps out there, you can get ahead of this one very easily. Do a little research ahead of time to find a decent nearby restaurant for your first meal upon arrival. You're often tired and hungry, so aren't ready to go to that one really great place you want to try on your trip. But neither do you want to spend time looking for someplace and wind up settling for junk precisely because you're tired and hungry and just want food. Of course, in some cases, fast food will just have to do. Then, reset your watch. If you change time zones while traveling, you'll want to assume the daily rhythms of the new zone immediately, right down to the type of food you eat. If it's morning, go have tea or coffee and breakfast foods, and try to avoid the urge to take a nap. If it's evening, have a proper dinner. If it's nighttime, maybe a cocktail and a snack. Don't succumb to the urge to stay on your old schedule, especially for your most ingrained habits. Then, charge your electronics. When you arrive in your room, the first thing you want to do is whip out all your electronic devices, Make sure you can plug them in if you're traveling internationally and put a full charge on them. Before you leave for an international destination, check to see if your hotel has the correct voltage to run your electronics. That's 120 volts in the US. And if not, be sure to purchase the appropriate adapter before you go. Having your laptop or camera bail out on you right after you arrive can make the normal hassles of traveling overwhelm the first promising hours of your trip. Next, secure your valuables. The place you stow your most valuable items during a flight, maybe in your carry-on or in your coat pocket, may not be the safest place for the duration of your trip. If you're traveling with any especially valuable items, secure them right away upon arrival, whether in the safe in your room or buried deep in your socks or wherever you prefer to do it. Then, let someone know you arrived and where you are, especially if you're traveling alone, but even if not, it's a good idea to let someone close to you know that you arrived safely. You should also tell him or her how to get in touch with you if needed by providing them with your hotel phone and room number, your preferred traveling email address, and your cell phone number if you're using it. Next, get outside. When you visit a new place, the light is different, the air is different, and your entire sense of the world can be different. After spending hours in parking lots, airports, planes, shuttle buses, and rental car garages, put down all your stuff and get out the door. Take a walk, familiarize yourself with the surroundings, and get some fresh air and exercise. Do this again the morning after you arrive. Getting yourself out into the sunlight alerts your brain and body to what time of day it is and lets them know that you're done sitting on planes and ready to have some fun. But keep your caffeine addiction in check. Let's face it, a very large percentage of us have a caffeine addiction of some type. Getting this under control and on track as quickly as possible is going to be critical in adjusting your biological clock to match your new surroundings. If you mess it up early on, it can take days to correct and even exact a toll on your overall enjoyment of your trip. Anyone with a coffee habit of any merit knows the consequences of having a strong cup of coffee at the wrong time of day. If it's 7 a.m. in your hometown, but late in the day at your new destination, you know that giving your body the Java fix it's demanding will wreak havoc on your sleep that night and your energy the next day. But you also know you can't go completely without. Try substituting a sugarless cola. With less than 50 milligrams of caffeine in most colas, it may be enough to push back headaches and cravings, but not so much that it'll ruin your sleep. Then when you get up the next day, get out of the room, into the morning sunlight, and hit the caffeine hard. This combination can often reset your internal clock almost in an instant. You may have a different approach, and an evening cup of coffee may have little effect on some people. But you want to put a strategy into play before you find yourself lying awake in the dark on a midnight caffeine jag. Or a simpler solution, wait until your first morning to drink your first strong cup of coffee. Now remember, take lots of pictures. An amateur photographer I know always dedicates the first few hours of a trip to taking a lot of photos. She noticed some time ago that her eye was always freshest when she first arrived in a new place. And she'd notice things in the first few hours that she might ignore after a few days. And always carry your camera with you. You never know when you'll see something magical. Finally, check the weather. It seems almost too simple, but countless travelers get ambushed by bad weather, and a thoughtful weather check can really assist your overall planning. Hopefully, before even leaving home, you've checked the forecast for the first few days of your stay. But once you arrive, check the long-term forecast for your stay, which will help you decide when to schedule outdoor versus indoor activities, whether you'll need to pick up gear that you didn't pack, and how to cope with any truly plan-wrecking weather events. Thank you again for watching. If there's a topic you'd like to see presented here, feel free to contact me at 860-305-0605 or traveltalent@comcast.net. I'm always looking for new ideas, and I'd love to hear from you.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.